Hey there, and welcome. Look, we've all been there, right? You're frustrated by your feelings, you're wishing you could just switch them off and think clearly for a second. But what if we've been looking at them completely the wrong way? In this explainer, we're going to dig into the powerful evolutionary purpose behind our emotions. Okay, so let's just dive right in with the big question. Do you see your emotions as these chaotic interruptions? Things that just get in the way and need to be controlled or even suppressed? Or could they actually be one of your greatest assets? It's such a common struggle, isn't it? We tend to treat our feelings like bugs in our system, rather than, well, features. So the core idea we're exploring today is a huge perspective shift. We're going to try and reframe emotions. Instead of seeing them as just noise, let's think of them as your body's incredibly sophisticated guidance system. Seriously, think of them as crucial data coming from your own internal operating system, designed specifically to help you navigate the world. All right, so to really understand this guidance system, we have to get physical first. Emotions. They aren't just these abstract ideas floating around in our heads. Nope, they are deeply, deeply rooted in our bodies, and they are all about one thing: action. You know what's really fascinating? It's the origin of the word itself. Emotion actually comes from the Latin word motere, which literally means to move. And that is not a coincidence. At its very core, every single emotion you feel is an impulse. It's your body preparing to do something. So, how does this all happen so fast? Well, deep inside your brain, there's this little structure called the amygdala. The best way to think of it is as your emotional sentinel. It's on duty 24/7, constantly scanning everything you experience. It's looking for anything important: threats, opportunities, you name it. And it triggers a physical response way, way faster than your conscious thinking mind can even catch up. Let's look at a few examples, because this is where it gets really cool. When you feel anger, it's not just a bad mood. Not at all. Your body is physically gearing up for action. Blood is literally being pumped into your hands, which makes them quicker and stronger. It's priming you to grasp something, to strike out, or maybe just to firmly set a boundary. It's your body getting ready for a fight. And fear is kind of the opposite. When you get scared, blood rushes away from places like your hands and floods into the big muscles in your legs. And why would it do that? Simple: to make you run faster. It's your body's alarm system screaming, "Danger, get ready to bolt." This is just a pure ancient survival mechanism in action. But it's not all about fight or flight, of course. Positive emotions have their own physical signatures too. Take happiness and love, for instance. They actually trigger a calming response in the body, sort of quieting down all those negative feelings. And this physical state of contentment, it makes us more open, more rested, and just way better prepared to cooperate and bond with other people. So, okay, these physical responses are obviously incredibly powerful, but why? Why did evolution decide these feelings were so important that we had to keep them around? Well, it turns out they serve some absolutely critical functions for us as a species. When you boil it down, there are four main jobs that our emotions have been perfected for over millions of years. They're here to help us survive, to coordinate with each other socially, to guide our big decisions, and to help us remember what's really important. So let's break each of those down. First and foremost, survival. Think about it. When our ancestors spotted a predator lurking in the tall grass, they didn't have time for a logical debate, right? Fear kicked in instantly, preparing the body to run long before the conscious brain even finished processing the thought, "Uh-oh, that's a lion." And that split-second advantage is still crucial today, even if our modern predators look more like speeding cars or looming deadlines. Second up, emotions are basically the universal language for social connection. A smile, a frown, a look of concern on someone's face, these signals communicate really complex information in an instant, totally bypassing the need for words. They're what allow us to build trust, show empathy, form bonds, and cooperate in groups, all of which has been absolutely essential to our success as a species. Okay, the third function, decision-making. This is where we really see the true power of our feelings. We love to think our choices are purely rational, but they're really not. There are these incredible studies of patients who have damage to the emotional centers of their brains. And what happens? They can list pros and cons forever, but they become totally paralyzed. They literally can't choose. Without emotion, they just don't know what matters. Our feelings act like this vital inner compass, always pointing us toward what we value. And this ties right into the fourth function, memory enhancement. Strong emotions basically supercharge our memories, making sure we remember the experiences, both good and bad, that are most important for our survival and well-being. This all brings us to a really crucial point about the relationship between our feelings and our thoughts. We so often imagine them as being at war with each other, heart versus head. But that's not actually how the brain is designed at all. So let's take a look at how these two systems are meant to work together. A good way to think of it is like this. We basically have two minds operating in parallel. First, you've got the ancient emotional mind. This one is super fast, it's impulsive, and it's what gives us those immediate gut reactions. Then you have the newer rational mind. This one's much slower, it's analytical, and it's the part that can deliberately weigh the evidence and think through really complex problems. Now, the really crucial point here is this. These two minds are not competitors. They're not fighting for control. In fact, evolutionarily speaking, the thinking part of our brain, the neocortex, it actually grew out of the older emotional centers. They are fundamentally interconnected. They are designed from the ground up to be partners. So the ideal state is harmony. Your emotional mind acts like a rapid response system, right? It flags what's important and tells you what you should pay attention to right now. Then your rational mind comes in, provides some context, analyzes the situation, and helps you regulate that initial response. It's supposed to be a beautiful collaboration. Okay, so if this whole system is so well designed, why does it sometimes feel like it's completely failing us? That's a great question. Let's get practical and look at how we can actually harness this power in the crazy modern world we live in. All right, here's the fundamental challenge that every single one of us faces. Our emotional hardware, it was calibrated for the dangers and the social realities of the Pleistocene era, a long, long time ago. But now we're trying to run that ancient software in a super complex modern world. So a critical email from your boss can trigger the exact same threat response as a saber-toothed tiger. And, that's not always helpful. So how on earth do we manage this mismatch? Well, one of the most powerful tools is something called the pause technique. It's super simple in theory, but not always easy in practice. First, you just learn to recognize that initial emotional impulse, that spark of anger or fear. Then, and this is the crucial part, you create a tiny gap before you act. That pause, even if it's just for a single second, is just enough space for your rational mind to step in, assess the situation, and let you choose your response instead of just blindly reacting. Look, if there's one single thing to take away from all of this, it's this right here. Our emotions are not the enemy. They are not flaws to be overcome. They aren't bugs in the system. They are the incredible product of millions of years of evolution, designed to be our wisest allies, our most trusted guides, and our greatest motivators. So, I'll leave you with this question to think about, knowing now that every feeling is a piece of data, a signal from your very own internal guidance system. How are you going to listen to your inner compass today? What is it trying to tell you?